Okay, so I heard this message that was resonating with me and felt like I should do a read over it and just see what comes of that. Okay, so the message, I heard it on the internet. I heard a girl talking about it, and it just brought up these ideas for me that, okay, so like prison planet, right? The concept that Earth is a prison and that being here is like being entrapped. I've kind of, at least for a long time, maintained this kind of idea in my mind about Earth being hell itself. The hell is a matter of perspective and like a level of consciousness, essentially, even. And that Earth is kind of like hell itself, and that we have to go through all of this work in order to get ourselves out of hell. These are long running concepts in a lot of different like forms of theology, like us, like this planet being like a prison type planet. I swear it's like I can't even think of a movie, but there's a movie I feel like that talks about it where like all of the people that are here are like people who on other planets in past lives, it's all just other dimensional, and that in other lives they were not good, and that's why we're here, and that's why we have to work out this karma, right? Maybe that's part of like the Hinduism and Buddhist belief system. I don't know for sure. I'm not an expert on those things, but that concept, like when I say it, you likely know what I'm talking about. And it's something that has resonated with me for sure, especially in that concept, because I remember when I first started, like, I was in the Christian school at the time, and I was like coming to these concepts of past lives, and I would like talk about it. Everybody thought I was really weird, and I didn't necessarily like believe those things, but mostly I think because my society, my culture, the environment in which I was in wasn't conducive to those types of beliefs. I was actively being taught and trained to have a very specific other type of belief. So we would kind of just make jokes about it. But it was back even when I was in the Christian school that I started understanding these concepts of past lives. And I remember like making these jokes about how I was always a bad person in all my past lives, and that's why I care very much to like be a good person in this life. And people would ask me that too, like, why are you so willing to be nice? Why do you care so much about being nice? Like, that's not even like, most people don't have a lot of respect for that, right? But it's like, even when I'm actively being taken advantage of, I'm still doing the work to balance myself out in order to continue to offer some form of compassion, even if I'm not being generous at the time, or like, even, I mean, all of those things continue to exist within me, even when I'm setting healthy boundaries. But people, you know, like the same sort of deal, like, or like why, like, it becomes part of the conversation generally when I'm talking about like the abuses that I've undergone and the people that have like actively come against me quite intentionally. And why would I choose to continue to love them? But for me, that's always been my strength. That's been where I found my strength, you know, is in not giving those things fear and not like falling into this victimhood mentality of why these people are coming against me. You know, everybody keeps coming against me, and it's hard. It's in me. Like the last person that like they started, you know, we were getting very, I was talking to this person for multiple days, and they were talking to me consistently, like all the time, like calling me and talking on the phone, texting me, and like having all of these very personal conversations. And then out of seemingly nowhere, they kind of just cut me the fuck off about it with that level of intimacy and started like dogging on me about everything that I had communicated to them about who I am as a person, everything I've been through, and like, you know, talking about how like I was scaring them because it just reminded them of all the toxic stuff that they've been through, and they couldn't really trust me, and they didn't know who I was, and like I really had no defense at the time, and I also wasn't trying to be defensive. And I remember like fighting that in of itself, even like that tendency to want to feel victimized. And I remember at one point I was like, you know what? I'm gonna put this I'm up at least on the back burner until it comes around and it's something I can actively process, because right now I'm starting to feel like, oh, I just wish people would love and accept me. And like, that's not some, I don't, people do love and accept me. They just only do it from where they're at. And they can only do it from the levels in which they're at. And for me to judge those things so harshly and take them on personally, it's toxic. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to involve myself in those things. So if those are the emotions that are being triggered by somebody else being self-deprecating, self-sabotaging, and then projecting that onto me, I'm going to just cut it all off. I'm not giving any energy into that, right? So like I've had to learn that over time. I used to be for an extremely long time. It was a very essential aspect of my identity and personality to be the type of person that was willing to take all of those things on. It still is. I've just learned to care for myself, and I do care for myself, and I've learned how to protect myself because I actually enjoy myself. I enjoy being alive. That wasn't always the case. I used to have a literal death wish for most of my life, where, people that wanted to kill me were people that I was keeping myself involved with. It's not a question as to like, why, how is it that I've been through such crazy shit? Because I was fucking crazy. I was not in a good state of mind. Now, that largely in part came from the the family I was born into, the way that I was raised, and then all of the experiences and traumas and stuff that I had growing up. But ultimately, like, as an adult now, I'm able to look back and be like, these are my choices to make if I want to be that type of person and respond to these things that type of way. Prior to being awakened unto myself, prior to being responsible and self-actualized myself, that was my go-to. I was just completely, like, everything was consequential outside of my own sense of control and power. Once I realized that I could never control that shit to begin with. I could only control how I responded to it. I started to take that more seriously. And over time, I've worked on these skills and I've built on these skills, and it has taken a lot. It's taken time, it's taken energy, it's taken compromise, it's taken sacrifice, it's taken letting my ego be absolutely broken down, letting my concepts of my own identity absolutely be broken down, letting my relationships with those closest to me absolutely be broken down until I was nothing and had nothing and could actually see clearly. Okay, this wasn't just some overnight thing. This is a constant process I'm still engaging in. So, over time I've learned to view things differently. And when I heard the message today talking about a prison planet, it struck me because I realized that is something that I have been holding internally that is not factual. It's not even reflective of what I truly believe. It's reflective of what I truly believed, and that's why I was constantly a victim. I was constantly being victimized, but that was because I was manifesting that by being in a victim mentality. Once I started taking control over myself and a power over my own experience, I no longer had to deal with things that same way. When somebody starts shitting on me, I can recognize that it's because they're shitty. I don't have to take that personal. I can empathize with them. I can offer them compassion, and I can set healthy boundaries so that I don't have to engage with those shitty energies. Like, I have my own that I'm actively working through, and those things can get triggered, but like, that's the point. When I go through those experiences, I don't get mad that I've been triggered into feeling some type of way. I am grateful for those experiences, for the fact that they allow me to look at myself truly and then to do the work to work on those things. This prison planet concept, it's a school. That was the concept, that it isn't actually a prison planet. This is Earth School that we're in. We're in an educational process of experientialism versus just existentialism, which is something that we can see. It's something that we encapsulate. It's something that we are part of. It's something that's like the source energy that we're created from is existentialism. However, experientialism is what we conceive of. And already, I don't know how my storage space is running out. Oh geez, okay, well, I'm gonna finish up this little intro and then I'll do the read afterwards because I'm gonna have to delete stuff on my phone. My storage is being ridiculous because I deleted like 30 gigabytes, megabytes, or whatever. I'm not good at that stuff, but I deleted a whole bunch of stuff and now it's saying that I don't have any storage. So there's obviously something going on in the background of my phone that isn't supposed to be. But I digress. So I guess I'll move into that. I'll just finish this up, but that's it. So the concept isn't that we're in a prison planet. The concept is that we're in an Earth school. We're in this educational process of higher learning based on tangibility, which doesn't exist in every higher realm. It isn't as tangible as we are able to measure things third dimensionally. It is tangible, but it's measured in a higher degree, and we can't get to that higher dimension and that higher degree until we go through this. It's like everything that we experience is for our benefit in order to get to that point. Just like a scientist, trying to understand some grand concept and having to break it down into these small, seemingly insignificant forms of experimentation in order to properly analyze the information data and to process it into something that he can move forward with. And the more that it's done, you have to continue these experiments until they all prove themselves to some degree, and then you're able to move forward from there, right? And sometimes you find after years and years and years and years and years of research and doing all these different experiments that it is not adding up. It seemed to add up all the way until you hit a wall and suddenly you realize that you actually have to break everything back down and rebuild it back up with a different concept and perception of things. That's science. That's the reality of the engagement in which our experience is based off of, so, okay, let me end this here. Sorry that I have to do an intro and then I have to break this down. I'd already said too much, so I'm not going to redo it again. I'm just going to start from where I left off, end this, and then we're going to move into a read after this. Thank you.